Hello! Today we're going to be discussing the anatomy of the brain. When we look at the brain, we notice there's a very large area of it. And this is called the cerebrum, as opposed to the much smaller cerebellum, on the inferior and posterior aspect of it. Now also notice that the brain can be divided into a right side and a left side. This is called the right and left hemispheres. Let's move to one of those hemispheres. So here we have the cerebrum. Now each hemisphere of the cerebrum is divided into four main lobes for our purposes. We have the frontal lobe up here, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe. So just like the bones that you learned of the skull, frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital. Down here we have the cerebellum. So cerebrum, cerebellum. If we were to go to the inside, we now have this internal area that is called the diencephalon. Diencephalon, encephal, inside the head. This right here is called the corpus callosum. This is the ceiling of the diencephalon. It's also the connection point between the two hemispheres. This spot right here in the middle is called the thalamus. And then below the thalamus is the hypothalamus. So thalamus and hypothalamus. If we were to continue from the diencephalon and head down to this region, we have the brainstem, which is made up of three parts. The upper area, which is the midbrain, this area here called the pons, and then this lower portion called the medulla oblongata, and then that continues down into the spinal cord. Seen from this side, you can see the pons enlargement right here, medulla oblongata, and then continuing down into the spinal cord. So as a review, we have our cerebrum with its four lobes on each hemisphere. We have our cerebellum, and then we go into our brainstem down into our spinal cord, and on the inside we have our diencephalon.